Tonight's book was brought in by a student who was in my class last year. And she said, Miss Eldredge, this is one of our favorite books at our house, and we wondered if you might read it on your channel. And so here it is. It's called When Africa Was Home. It's written by Karen Lynn Williams, and the pictures are by Floyd Cooper. I wonder what that means, when Africa was home. Let's see what this story is about. When Peter was small, he rode on his nanny's back, tied in a snuggly bright cloth. The rocking of her strong body soothed him. Peter called his nanny Maggie. That word means mother in the Chichewa language. When Africa was home, Peter had two mothers. Achimwen, Yeka, and the other children called him little brother. Wonder what that means. He had two mothers. Let's find out. When Peter grew older, he and his friends slid down the anthills and shimmied up pawpaw trees. They chased the cows from the maize fields and made toys from the smooth white stalks. They made dolls with wet earth from the riverbed. Such a child with golden hair should not play in the sun. Peter's Mai warned. Wear a hat, his mother said. When Africa was home, Peter played from the time the sun was still cool until his shadow danced in the moonlight, and he never wore a hat. The son of your father must wear shoes, his Mai scolded. You'll hurt your feet, his mother agreed. But when Africa was home, Peter knew better. He ran races with his friends, and his feet were hard, and he never felt the pebbles. The warm earth felt good. How could he climb a mango tree with shoes on? In America, everyone wears shoes, Peter's mother explained. Not me, said Peter. You must get used to wearing shoes, his mother said. Soon we'll be in America. We'll all be going home when Daddy's work here is done. That's not my home, Peter thought. Oh, so we're finding out that Peter and his family are visiting Africa while his dad is working there. And so it seems like they're going to be returning back. I wonder what's going to happen next. In the African sun, Peter's legs grew long and his skin tan. You've grown so dark, his father said one day. Peter held his arm next to Yeka's, and he knew he wasn't that dark. They stuck their tongues out at each other and laughed. That's the way it was when Africa was home. In Africa, Peter ran with the goats and chased the chickens. He screeched back at the monkeys and frightened a whole herd of antelope with one clap of his hands. Maybe we'll get a kitten in America, Peter's father told him when they began to pack. I don't want a kitten, Peter said. I don't want to go to America. Seems like he's feeling pretty nervous about going back. At dinner that night, Peter said, I'm not hungry, and ran to the home of his Maggie. Seated on the ground, Peter and Yeka shared a meal from the same bowl, as they often did. Peter rolled the warm corn paste in his hand to make a ball. Then he dipped it into the sauce. Sometimes it was fish sauce, and he ate the eyes and all. Even fish eyes tasted good when Africa was home. In America, it's polite to eat with a fork and a spoon, Peter's mother told him later. I won't, said Peter crossly. I'm not going. My work here is finished, his father explained. Someday, perhaps we'll come back if I find another job in Africa. But soon we must go home to America. This is my home here, Peter stamped his foot. His father frowned. They could hear happy voices outside. Your friends are calling you, his mother said. Go play for a while before bed. He's really not happy about this. From his bed that night, Peter looked out at the big African sky. The stars were so bright, it seemed he could almost reach out and touch them. He could hear the hippos and the hyenas groan, and the drums sing in the distance. With a mosquito net tucked all around him, Peter felt comfortable and safe. How could he sleep without one in America? So that's not really something that we use here in the United States. But a mosquito net is something that he used every night when he lived in Africa. I can imagine how that might feel kind of funny. In the morning, Mai asked, as she always did, "How have you slept?" And Peter asked Yeka, "How have you slept?" "I have slept well," she and Mai answered, as they did every day. The afternoon was hot. Mai gave Peter and Yeka a coin. At the corner by the big road, they bought a stick of sugar cane. In the purple shade of the jacarda, they chewed the stiff, stringy pieces of cane, and sweet juice ran down their chins. When Africa was home, even the sticks tasted delicious. In America, Mother promised, we'll eat popsicles that are as cold as ice. Peter did not know what ice was. When Africa was home, he and his Mai chatted in a language that was fast and musical. The words sounded like their ideas. How will I know all the words I need in America? Peter wondered. To his Mai, he said, "It is far to America." Oh, let me read it again. "It is far to America." That makes more sense the way I read it. Sometimes you have to reread to make sure what you're reading makes sense. "Indeed," she agreed. When the time came to say goodbye, Mai said to him, "Go well, little son." "Go well," Yeka echoed. "Stay well," Peter told them both sadly. Wow, I can't imagine moving away from all my friends with my family like Peter's doing. He must be really sad. His parents' white car bumped over the dusty dirt road. Peter whispered, "Nitas huerso," to the passing cornfields and the dark brown earth. "I will come back." Peter and his family drove through the 57 dips and around and up the mountain. Up and out of the steamy village, they drove into the cool air, into a city that was big and noisy. They boarded an airplane that was bigger than a house. There were hundreds of seats and tiny windows and buttons and dials and switches. The airplane flew through the day and night. Then Peter was in America. People talk funny, he thought. No one stopped to say hello and ask how he slept. It's really different in the city. People don't talk to each other on the streets usually. And definitely no one's asking how you slept. He must feel funny. Winter came in America and the icy cold snow fell on the ground. Peter missed the warm rains of Africa. In his new snowsuits and heavy boots, he felt like a statue. His mother made him a bright red ski cap. The yellow and blue designs reminded Peter of his home in Africa. He wore the hat all the time, even indoors, and waited for the time when Africa would be his home again. "Is it time to go back yet?" Peter asked each day. "Not yet," his father always answered. In America, Peter watched a box with people inside who talked. His mother used a long snake to clean the floor, and it ate his toys. That sounds like a vacuum. "I want to go home," Peter said. In America, Peter ate pizza with his fingers, but he never sat on the floor when he ate. Peter missed Mai's warm corn paste. The big city lights made nighttime a dull gray, and the stars seemed far away. In America, Peter missed Yeka and Mai. Peter and his father and mother all missed Africa. Peter waited, and one day his father said, "I've found another job. Now it's time, and we can go back." "Back to Africa?" his mother said. "Home," said Peter, and he happily took off his heavy snowsuit and his clumsy boots, but he kept his bright red ski cap. On the airplane, Peter traveled back through the night and a day. But he still was not home. In the car, he went down and around the mountain and through 57 dips towards the village. "Going home takes a long time," Peter said. His father laughed. "It's not too far now." And when their car came down to the valley, Yeka ran with the other children to greet it. "Peter! Peter is coming! Peter! Peter!" the children shouted, running alongside the car. Yeka brought him a mango. Mai brought a chicken. "You are fat," they said. For in America, it is polite to say so. In Africa, it is polite to say so. Peter pulled off his shoes and wriggled his toes in the dusty dirt. Your feet are soft, his friends teased. Peter took off his bright red and yellow and blue ski cap and gave it to Yeka. Everyone tried it on. Zikomo, Yeka said. Thank you. You have come, she said, smiling. Guatu, Peter said, home. And Peter, in his bare feet, and Yeka, in her red ski cap, raced to the top of an anthill. Wow. So in the end, it turned out that his family decided to go back to Africa because that was where they had made their home. That's where their community was, and that was where they liked to live. Pretty cool. Thank you to my friends that shared this book with me and now can share with the rest of everyone. See you tomorrow.